generosity of this church. We have some wealthy people that attend here and they have big hearts like this. And they're always looking for this. God's just abundantly blessed them. And so there's this overflow in their life. And they're not trying to hoard it. You know, they're helping out Loaves and Fishes or Mercy Over Bondage or Young Life. They're looking for people to bless. And, of course, they give to the church and to outreaches and missionaries. And that's the way it's supposed to be done. Because Jesus always talks about, you know, sowing and reaping, giving and giving, not hoarding it up. What did he say about the guy who hoarded it up? He had 3 barns, and he hoarded it up, all this wealth. And that night, he died. God just... No, that's not how you do it. And so he used him as an example. And then you get all the way to the poor little widow, and she's just giving it all in, giving those 2 coins at the church. Just another example of Jesus just showing how important it is to give.
Yeah, I have actually in my family, I have a group of hoarders. Like, you know, my aunt is a hoarder. Her mom was a hoarder. And so when I remember when I was like 10 years old, my grandma died, and we had to go in and clean out her house, you know, a hoarder's house. And it was just like wall-to-wall boxes and 3 stories, huge house, and had to go through just everything. So we spent like almost a year, I think, I spent over there helping my family go through stuff because she had, some things were valuable, some things were just totally junk and needed to be thrown away. But, you know, that's just that side, that's of the world. That's not trusting in the Lord to provide. I mean, there was so much fear in her that she just could not get rid of anything. She kept everything, paper towels, TV, dinner trays, toilet paper rolls, anything she ever touched, I think she kept.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy. So anyways, we're not of this world. We're looking to the Father on how to steward what we have and what he's given us. And that's what we can learn from this section. So this first section is the offender, the people that are taking advantage of others. And now the second section that we're just going to get into is those that have been offended, those that have been taken advantage of, the Christians that have been taken advantage of. So let's look at that scripture.
James starts with be patient. You know, I would be more like be outraged. Where's the justice? You know, that would be like the comment to be after that section. Let's get outraged. Let's be upset. Let's get some justice against these people. But that's not the advice James gives us. So let's look at that. He says, be patient then, brothers, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop and how patient he is for the autumn and the spring rains. You too be patient and stand firm because the Lord's coming is near. And don't grumble against each other, brothers, or you will be judged. The judge is standing at the door. But brothers, as an example of patience in the face of suffering, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. As you know, we consider blessed those who have persevered. And you've heard of Job's perseverance and have seen what the Lord finally brought about. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy.
So basically, in the midst of these people being taken advantage of, James is giving them the advice. Be patient.
Yep.
How many of you like to be patient? How many of you pray for patience? Hey, there are some people that pray for patience. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Some people say, well, I don't pray for patience because I don't want to have patience. I mean, we live in a drive-up window, right, society. You drive up to the bank. You drive up to get some fast food. You know, if I could drive up to the grocery store, I would.
Yeah, when we lived in Mexico, he had to go to the bank, and the Mexican banks are very interesting. There's a lot of patience involved.
Yeah, it's not like here. It's more like our DMV. You pick a number, and you literally sit in the chairs with like 20 people.
Yeah.
And there might be 3 tellers. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know.
When you had to get your visa, you could pay someone to stand in line for you.
Yeah,
and so literally, you did that.
I did
you
that,
paid someone to stand in line so that you didn't have to wait. Because it was like all day.
Yeah, that's the gringo way to do it right there. Yeah. Doesn't cost much to have somebody stand in line for hours for you. you know?
Right, that was worth it.
That was
worth it. So you
Yeah,
could
it
do
was worth
something
it.
else while somebody else did the waiting.
Yes,
But they,
indeed.
they got paid for waiting. So the word patience is, you look at this section here, it's used 4 times, like right off the bat, like be patient, have patience, wait patiently, be patient, right? And so the first thing we see here is that patience is actually a verb. It's an action. It's this word, it's Greek word macrothemio, and it's actually an action. We don't think of patience as an action. At least I don't, but it's the action of waiting.
Yeah.
It's the action of waiting.
It's not a vacation.
No,
You
it's work. It's a picture of waiting with patience. It's a picture of being patient. Like the example here is a farmer has to wait. I mean, you just can't plant a seed and then expect, drive up service like this thing's going to pop up. I mean, you have to wait and you have to be patient. I actually, I did plant a tomato plant this year. And if any of you know me, I can't grow a thing.
Not well, no.
I cannot grow
Not
a
for
thing.
very long.
No. So I'm waiting patiently and doing my due diligence, and I'm watering this tomato plant. Like, okay, we finally have almost some tomatoes,
Yeah.
but it's taken forever.
You got some dead leaves on it, too.
Am I supposed to pick those off? Do I pick the dead leaves off? Yeah. So every now and then somebody will come over that knows stuff about that stuff, and they help me. And in my place of waiting. So let's look at we had kind of 4 points here.
You going to look at that Greek word?
I did look at the Greek word.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Aren't we doing the 4 points? Is that what
Yeah,
you want to do?
that's what's next.
Okay. So there's 4 things that we can do in our season, in our action of waiting and being patient. Number 1, trust God to make it right, because he will. Right? Be patient, brothers. The farmer waits. It's actually a command of God to wait patiently. And the nice thing about it is there is an end. There is an end. I mean, we don't necessarily know when the end of our waiting will come, but there is an end to the period of waiting. The farmer has an end. I mean, we may not see something on earth. We may have to wait until Jesus comes back, because we live in the last days. We live in a time until Jesus returns. We have 2 kingdoms operating, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of darkness operating at the same time. And we're in this place that we have to wait. But there is an end.
Yeah.
There is an absolute end to it.
One of the things, it's a pattern of God's design. When the Israelites were in Egypt in slavery, there's the Nile, and they just had canals and water, irrigation ditches, and so they were good. But when they went to Israel, they had to wait on God for the rain. If he didn't bring the spring and autumn rains, that wasn't good. And so they had to wait patiently, and they had to trust God. And so they learned something new there, to trust God, to have faith in him for this gardening and this planting to happen. And this harvest, when it happened, it was a joyful event. It was a huge celebration, and it was a big deal.
Yeah, so it takes effort to wait.
Yes.
Again, it's a verb. It takes effort. If somebody tells a lie about you, what is the Lord saying? Be patient. If someone's taken advantage of you in some way, he's saying, be patient. Mm-hmm. Be patient. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait on the Lord in
Another
this season.
word for that is steadfast. It says endure patiently. Someone who is steadfast is reliable, faithful, true to the end. James said that the trials that test our faith produce steadfastness. So that was in the very beginning, talking about the trials. He ties it together here, just being patient. Let that steadfastness work into us and mature us.
And when you are taken advantage of in some way, when you're offended, we have to remember that the Lord is near. That the offense, won't be forgotten. that God brings his justice in his timing, in his way.
Yeah, perseverance is mentioned here.
Yeah.
Job's perseverance, he talked about Job. Did you know that Job said at the end of all of that, he said, I had heard of God, but now I know him. Yeah. Now he knew God in a personal way after going through the trials that he went through. Mm-hmm. And that's what can happen to us as we go through these hard times and we cry out to God and he comes near to us and we know him in a more intimate, personal way. Mm-hmm. And perseverance is being stubborn in a good way and continuing that commitment to the Lord. I talked about that last week. Every day just surrendering him once again, letting his mercies that are new every morning just fall upon us.
Mm-hmm. All right, so when we're in a place where we've been offended, where we've been taken advantage of, where we're just like frustrated, number one, trust God to make it right. Okay, number two, don't try to fix everyone and everything. That's not our job.
No.
Anybody else here a fixer? I'm a fixer.
I like to
You're
fix
a fixer, huh? I come to you with my problems and you like try and fix them.
Well, I'm learning not to.
I know, he is learning not to. Like, I just want him to listen to me. Women, are you like that? Can you just, like men, can you listen to us? But they want to usually fix it. They're fixers. It's
I'm
so
learning
good.
not to be your savior or anybody else's savior. That's Jesus' job.
Amen.
I'll come alongside you and point you to Jesus.
Right. Absolutely. But anyways, in James 5:9, it's saying, like, don't complain during this season. Don't grumble, don't complain, don't try to fix everybody. Use your time to build others up. Use your time to encourage one another. So when you're in this verb place, this action place of having to wait, how can you use that time? I personally have found that I like to use that time, worshiping. When I am frustrated, not sure what to do, I just like to worship. That's my go-to. But get in the Word, wait by encouraging others, lifting others up, seeing how you can help somebody else, even though, you're in the midst of being taken advantage of, because complaining generally doesn't do any good.
Sometimes I like just to leave wherever I'm at, jump in the car, put on some worship music, and just shoot down the road, shoot up towards the mountains or something.
Yeah. But this people group, if we look back at the context of James here, so these guys are being taken advantage of. They're not getting paid for their work. And what would be the first response? I think, well, you said anger, outrage, but complaining would be a big one.
Yeah.
Like I'd be complaining to probably you. I'd probably complain to you. Who would you go complain to? Like, hey, I'm being mistreated. Something is unfair. I'm being taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. Somebody isn't treating me right.
Verse 9 talks about, don't grumble against each other's brothers or you'll be judged. The judge is standing at the door. He's saying that's not the answer, to be grumbling and complaining and get caught up in all that, because it's just goes nowhere. It's just negative, right? What did David do when he was hurting and he was surrounded and he complained to God?
Right.
And so that's who you complain to. You don't call your friends or get on Facebook. You just say, God, where are you? I need you. I need help.
Yeah.
Just like David did. And God shows up and he meets you there. And David got to the point, he's like, oh, I remembered when you helped me before. I need you to help me again, Lord. Yeah. So that's who we complain to.
I mean, I don't know about you, but you have somebody that comes to you and complains about stuff? Oh, yeah. You guys really? Nobody complains to you about anything? Okay, there we go. So, and I mean, does it help you? Does it help them? Not usually.
They probably set up boundaries against those kind of people coming and complaining to them.
Yeah.
That'd be a healthy boundary to have.
That'd be a healthy boundary. That'd be a healthy boundary.
You know what? You need to go see Jesus, get counseling, right? You can help people have healthy boundaries, because you just dumping on me all your problems isn't good. So that's something you can learn too.
Yeah. And then just remember that we all work for one master. We all have just one Father that's in all, through all, that's over all, that is a just God, and he'll fix it. It might not be on our timing. It might be, like I said, when the Lord comes again, but we got to trust him in that. Yeah. Okay, number 3, look back to the past. And really what this is referring to is, God has a track record of caring for his people. He has a history. If you read the Bible, he has a history of showing up for people.
It might be at the last minute, because he seems to like that. When everything looks pretty bleak, then he shows up.
Yeah.
You know, the Israelites are on the the Red Sea. Looks bad, looks bleak, right? Boom, God shows up. So example after example like that in the Bible.
Yeah. I mean, you look in Hebrews, all our heroes of faith, when, what did they do? They persevered. How do you think they persevered? They waited. A lot of times there was a period of waiting, and some of them never even saw, what they were going for, or the promised land. They never even saw what God had showed them. And so many of them had been mistreated in some way or taken advantage of in some way. And yet they waited and they persevered. So as we look back in the past, we don't want to just look at, each individual story. But as you look through the stories, look for the patterns that are happening. And the pattern is he's faithful every time.
I have this story about this woman, and I pray that she'll come and share her testimony. I think she will. It's an incredible story, but she was diagnosed with cancer like 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. She was given like 6 months to live, and put your stuff in order, and she did. She got everything in order. She loved the Lord. She was looking forward to being with the Lord. Mm-hmm. And then another year went by, and another year went by. And she could get out of bed a little bit. Most of the time she spent in bed. Year after year this went on. And this January, they diagnosed her free of cancer. And I don't know how many people prayed for her during that 8 years. A ton of people had prayed for her to be well. It took 8 years. She's cancer-free. She's back ministering to people. She's sharing her story at Walmart and City Market. People are coming to Christ. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible story.
And many of you probably know Nancy and George Casillas, who now are going to be planting a vineyard church in Pueblo, which we have been praying for a super long time.
Yeah, so now she's planning a church.
We're super excited
awesome
about that. But
yeah. Praise God.
But even if you don't, even if you just talk to other Christians and hear their testimonies of how God has been faithful, because, I bet every one of you have a story about how God's been faithful at some point in your life, and it has come through for you in some way.
We've got, right? I know a couple people that are here tonight that you may have heard their testimonies before. They were getting ready to kill themselves, and God intervened. Mm-hmm. And now they're worshiping God. Now they're following the Lord like never before. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So God is faithful.
Okay, so we're on number 4, I think. So when we're in this place, the fourth thing is don't make unjust deals.
So that's verse 12. 5:12, it says, above all, my brothers, do not swear by heaven or by earth or by anything else. Let your yes be yes and your no be no, and then you will not be condemned. So the theologians and the scholars looked at this and they said, this is really about not making a deal with God, not making a deal with others in the midst of a trial. So something that's happening, sometimes people say, well, God, if you could just bring this person into my life, and if you could just get me that one job, then I'll commit to you. Then I'll go to church every weekend or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And he's saying, don't do it. That is not what God wants. God wants you to surrender to him every day anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually thinking about this because I have made deals. I have been a deal maker. Like, God, if you just do this, if you just get me out of this mess I am in. Before Anna was born, I had gotten myself in the biggest mess of my life. I'm sure of it. And I was just like on my face, like, God, if you could just get me out of this mess, like, I'll serve you. I'll work for you. I'll do anything, Lord. But I was thinking about this today even, and it's like, is my God not big enough to answer my prayer without having to make a deal?
Yeah.
right? I mean, like, that's saying that I don't trust God enough. I don't trust in his faithfulness to even believe that he could answer my prayer without my measly deal that I'm trying to make. We got a big God, and he is absolutely able to do that. He's absolutely able to get me out of some of my messes without making a deal. Now, was it, a horrible thing that I ended up serving God and, seeking him, because sometimes that's what we do when we're in a mess. But you know what? We don't have to make deals.
No.
We don't have to make deals with others. We don't have to make deals with God. He's a big God.
Yeah. We were watching a movie with my daughter the other night. It was this, they're going to foreclose on this property, and they wanted to make a deal and cheat her out of some things, and she just held her ground. She said no.
Yeah.
And God came through in the end. And so don't let people try to do that to you either. Don't give in. Trust God that he's got it. Don't give in to some corrupt or some shortcoming that it's not.
I think it's hard because really in this place that he's, in the context that he's speaking, like they're already in trial and
They're already
temptation.
hurting, yeah.
So they're already hurting. And anytime we're hurting or in temptation or struggling in our lives, that's like,
More vulnerable.
yeah, we're just in a vulnerable place. That's a good word, vulnerable place. Yeah. That something comes along and we're just searching so badly for an answer and an out that we'd almost do anything.
Yeah,
And that's
good.
exactly what he's telling us not to do here, right? So be patient. Be patient and
Be
persevere.
Persevere. Push
Yeah.
through. Steadfast. Run the race.
Yeah.
Climb the mountain. Fight the good fight of faith. That's it. That's what we do. Every day we surrender to God and say, Lord, I'm all yours.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. So there's our 4 points. And I just, as we were trying to figure out how to end today, we just felt like there's probably people in here that are in the place of struggle, in the place of maybe being taken advantage of in some way. Somebody isn't paying you what you're worth. Somebody is taking advantage of you, not giving you the promotion, not giving you the job, not telling you something. Somebody is offending you or oppressing you in some way by, telling lies about you. Or, there's just like this place that I think some of us are in where we're feeling that. And so...
Why don't we have the worship team come up?
Yeah, Sam, would you come up? So what we wanted to do today is really just go into a place of ministry time. If you feel at all like you're being taken advantage of in any way.
You might be going through a trial of some sort. So we just...
Divorce.
This is church. We just love to pray. We want this church to be like you're participating in what God has for you. So anyone who needs prayer. So we're going to have the ministry team come down. We're going to just play a song kind of lightly so you can hear them actually pray for you. And we're going to have people praying in the back, praying in the aisles or whatever. So let's just have a time of prayer and time of worship.
Yeah. So did that resonate with anybody? I mean, can you just put your hand up just a little, like something's happening here? Yeah, something's going on. Okay. So the worship team is going to play, and we already got these guys. And if you just want to sit and close your eyes and just
stand, worship,
receive this, because God is so great and so big and so large that he, in our waiting, in our time of being offended, in our time of pain, in our time of trial, he is there. And he is with you, and he loves you. He loves you. And he will get you through this. You may not see it yet, but he will get you through what you're going through. He will get you through. We meet regularly with some people here and pray with people. There's some real stuff going on. And God is so faithful, he gets us through it.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
us now, and we'll just sing this last chorus, and then you're free to go. But honestly, please, get some prayer for whatever you might be going through tonight before you leave, okay?